Thank you very much, my brother and comrade, the distinguished President of the Republic of Kenya, colleagues, comrades and friends. Given the restrictions of time, I will refrain from delivering my prepared statement. I will circulate it. I want to say that, first of all, 40 years ago, I first went to Africa as a student pursuing doctoral studies. I went to Makerere University in Kampala. Before then and since then, my political life has been engaged in, among other things, the defense and promotion of the African and Caribbean civilizations and their unity. In the 1960s and 70s and into the 80s, many of us participated in support groups for African liberation. In my case, in the United Kingdom, in the USA, and of course, in the Caribbean, for the liberation of Southern Africa, South Africa and Zimbabwe, and for the independence of former Portuguese colonies of Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, Sao Tome, and the Principe. Africa and the Caribbean have, over the years, for over 100 years, have been assisting each other in our quest for national liberation and independence. It is very fitting, my dear brother Uhuru, that you should be chairing this historic first summit with Gaston Brown, my friend, the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, our CARICOM chair. Because Uhuru, it was your father, the great Jomo Kenyatta, who in 1945 was a central figure at the Pan-Africanist conference in Manchester, at which there were very important Caribbean personalities, some of them referred to by Prime Minister Raoul of Trinidad and Tobago. We recall from the Caribbean the contribution of the heroic and selfless nation of Cuba. This nation shed its blood in the liberation of Southern Africa. The Battle of Cuito Valley is legendary. We all know this history. We all know the selflessness of Cuba. It demands of us today at this summit that we give a practical commitment to assist Cuba, which is currently being besieged by the twin challenges of the illegal blockade, economic blockade by imperialism, and the feverish ravages of COVID-19. Cuba will not ask, but it is our duty to assist, and to do so with urgency. A constellation of predisposing and inducing factors have brought us to this historic moment. The factors of history and geography, of ethnicity and culture and global connectedness. The time has come for us to build institutionally a mechanism for the practical realization of the agenda which has been outlined in the concept note to the summit and as adumbrated by all the preceding speakers. Gaston Brown has advocated a forum, a permanent forum of African and Caribbean states, and I agree with that. At the same time, we ought to establish immediately an Africa-Caricom commission, permanent body, a transitional entity towards a larger, more ambitious Africa, Caribbean, Brazil Diaspora Commission. Africa has 1.4 billion people. Brazil, 110 million persons are of African descent, half of the population of that country. There are 24 countries washed by the Caribbean Sea, including the member states of CARICOM. Together, these countries number 79, and the population is close to 2 billion. 8 billion people are estimated to be in this world. There are things of a hugely practical nature that we can do to build upon the work we have been doing in a number of different areas, as outlined by several speakers hitherto. And we need to do these things to deepen our integration and our cooperation for the betterment of our people, to uplift the quality of their lives. In the early 20th century, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, National Hero of Jamaica, founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, made a clarion programmatic call for the unity of Africans at home and abroad. Then, Africa and the Caribbean were in the throes or under the heels of colonialism. Today, there are 54 independent African nations, 24 independent nations in the Association of Caribbean States, all washed by the Caribbean Sea, 14 of which are independent CARICOM states. I mentioned Brazil, and of course, some 70 million persons in the diaspora of persons of African descent. This is a mighty force. The future of humanity rests on the fulcrum of the unity of these countries and peoples. As we elaborate our program, we're mindful of all the bilateral and multilateral work that we have been doing together. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been pleased to be part of the A3+1, one being St. Vincent and the Grenadines, this important body at the United Nations Security Council. St. Vincent's tenure on the Security Council comes to an end at the end of this year. It is my regret that there is not another Caribbean country, another CARICOM country going to the Security Council. And we must make this something of great importance as a strategic objective going forward. Always to have a country from the Caribbean on the Security Council as a non-permanent member. And to continue to work in that important body and other United Nations bodies as a cohesive and important force. Our agenda in going forward, in addition to all what has been said before, I think we need to take a practical lead very urgently. We have been doing so, but not with the degree of urgency and with the extent of the commitment that we ought to have. That Africa and the Caribbean and our diaspora, in communion with each other, must mount a strong push for reparations, for native genocide, and the enslavement of Africans, which genocide and enslavement were driven by European colonialism. This summit must make a difference. 2 million people are depending upon us. Humanity is depending upon us. So, a transitional institutional arrangement, a permanent Africa-Caricom Commission to evolve into an Africa, Brazil, Caribbean Diaspora Commission. We can only speak here today about the Africa-Caricom Commission, a permanent body within this broad forum, as Gaston Brown has outlined. This vision is something which I believe that all right-thinking people in Africa, the Caribbean, and indeed Latin America and the diaspora would support. I am overjoyed. I feel very privileged. After all the years, to be here at the first Africa-Caricom Summit. The struggle continues. I'm obliged.